Hello, welcome to Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing Traverse Death's Shadow once again, and this time we are running up against Soul Flare Combo, which is a kind of interesting deck. Cropped up a while back at a GP, I think. Haven't seen a ton of play since. It's kind of an interesting niche deck, kind of fun to interact with. Our opener wasn't terribly exciting, so we are going to mulligan into this hand. Which has Death's Shadow, Inquisition, Abrupt Decay, and Fatal Push. So we can work with this. We also see Street Wraith on top, which is nice. We're going to keep that to obviously reduce our life total and hopefully cast this Death's Shadow. And having seen that, we're going to run this Blood Crypt out instead of fetching with the Verdant Catacombs and cast Inquisition off of the Blood Crypt. So we see our opponent's hand. So we've got Grisly Salvage, Noxious Revival, Sylvan Carotid, Traverse, Verdant Catacombs, Zetalpa, Primal Dawn, and Samut. So as soon as I saw this, I obviously knew what we were playing because not many decks run Zetalpa, Primal Dawn. In terms of which card we want to take out of our opponent's hand, I think we just want to take the Grisly Salvage here. It's going to be the card that puts the most cards into the graveyard, and obviously it's the card that helps our opponent find Soul Flare. So I think we want to get rid of that. I guess our opponent can Noxious Revival back the Grisly Salvage, but I don't think that's a reason to get rid of Noxious Revival rather than the Grisly Salvage. So I'm just going to get rid of the Salvage here. Let's go around the Verdant Catacomb. That's the turn. We draw into Street Wraith, draw into a Thoughtseize. So this is nice. We can really reduce our life total here. And I'm going to take Carotid here, but it might be the wrong decision. Maybe we should have taken Traverse or the Noxious Revival, maybe. Kind of a tough call. I think I took Carotid, but I think in hindsight it should have been either Traverse or Noxious Revival that we took out of our opponent's hand here. Maybe Noxious Revival, given that Grisly Salvage is probably the most important card in terms of our opponent finding a Sylvian, finding the Soul Flare. But yeah, my inexperience playing against the deck kind of showed there. I just didn't want our opponent to sort of put a chum blocker in the way, but I think in hindsight that was less important. So when it cracks, uses Noxious Revival to get back the Salvage, and obviously that gives us a bit of a problem. So we attack for 2, we draw into Goyf, and can play 4/5. Then plays Grisly Salvage, which finds Soul Flare and puts all of the stuff into the graveyard. Actually times 3 Soul Flares, oddly enough. So 1 goes into hand. We get Sphinx of the Steel Wind into the graveyard. So that's Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. And the Carotid is Hexproof. So we're going to get a fairly substantial Soul Flare here. And yeah, we definitely should have taken the Noxious Revival with the Thoughtseize we had earlier. So that has Double Strike. Where did it get Double Strike from? I'm not even sure. Flying, First Strike, Lifelink. Do one of those Zetalpas get into the graveyard? I'm not even really sure, to be quite honest. So yeah, Double Strike, First Strike, Flying, Haste, Hexproof, Lifelink, and Vigilance. So yeah, that's pretty tough to deal with. So we're going to take 4 here, go down to 7. I'd have to show it as a 10-10, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it would kill this Soul Flare, but our opponent's obviously going to be able to take 10 if they so wish. So yeah, that kind of wraps things up, unfortunately. Still not entirely clear how it got Double Strike. 4. Haste, Hexproof. Yeah, I'm not sure that was right, to be honest. None of these cards have double strike. Flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink. Interesting, actually. I think that was bugged, to be quite honest. He shouldn't have had double strike. He should have had flying, first strike, haste, hexproof, vigilance, lifelink, but not double strike. I'm not sure. Would that have changed the outcome a great deal? Probably, actually, because we wouldn't have taken 8 there, and then we'd have had a substantial Death Shadow to attack back with. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So yeah, maybe we shouldn't have lost this game, given that I don't think the Soulflare should have had double strike, unless I'm missing something really obvious, because there's no reason for it to have double strike based on the cards that are actually exiled. Should have had first strike, flying, haste, hexproof, lifelink, and vigilance, which we could have dealt with actually, given that both our creatures are bigger than 4 power. So yeah, kind of feel a bit ripped off there. But okay, on to game 2. Okay, so in terms of sideboarding, I don't really know what we want. I suppose we bring in Go for the Throat. Obviously, he's got ways of giving Soulflare hexproof, but it's not always going to be hexproof. So that's kind of a card we want to be looking at bringing in potentially. Everything else, Collective Brutality is another way of removing things like Grisly Salvage, etc. That's about it, really. We don't have a lot of things to bring in. Spell Bomb. Obviously, clearing out the graveyard is good against them. I don't think Grafdigger's Cage does anything. No, Grafdigger's Cage doesn't do anything. So it's really Spell Bomb, Go for the Throat. Cards we're kind of looking at bringing in. Stubborn Denial doesn't really do a great deal. I suppose you can count a Grisly Salvage and other cards of the like, but I don't love it. Fatal Push also wants to come out. I don't think that does anything in this against the creatures that are in their deck. So yeah, probably taking out the Fatal Pushes, bringing in things like Collective Brutality, Spell Bomb, Go for the Throat. Surgical Extraction, I guess, as well might be a good one, just as a way of maybe, if we're lucky, getting rid of Soulflare just entirely. So yeah, those cards are the kind of ones we want to bring in. I suppose we can keep in the Stubborn Denials. Team of Battle Rage seems good actually in this matchup, as we might be able to attack through a Soulflare and just kill our opponent. So let's see how it goes in game 2. Okay, so this is game 2. This is our opening hand. I don't like this too much. Would like a threat, ideally, so I think we're going to mulligan this. This is better. We've got Thoughtseizes, we've got Inquisition, Death Shadow, Abrupt Decay, and Traverse. So I think we can run with this. I'm going to bottom the Abrupt Decay there. Although we're going to fetch anyway, so it doesn't make a great deal of difference. We're going to Tomb into Inquisition. We see Crab, double Noxious Revival, 2 Zetalpas and 2 lands in our opponent's hand, which is fine. Going to pitch the Crab. An opponent can Noxious Revival it back if they so desire, which they do. I'm going to run out of Hedron Crab here. I'm going to draw a Bauble. I'm going to traverse into a swamp. Now take a look at our opponent's next card. Our opponent's next card is Grisly Salvage, but I also know that our opponent doesn't have green mana, unless they happen to draw into it. Unless they happen to draw into it next turn. So with their current hand, they don't have green mana. So I decided to keep back the Thoughtseize, given that there's nothing actually in their hand at the moment that I really want to take, and we might be lucky enough to be able to take this Grisly Salvage out of their hand if they don't draw another land that produces green mana. So Crab mills the opponent. We draw into Inquisition. Thoughtseize here, and we can going to be able to get rid of this salvage, Well, actually, we start with taking the Noxious Revival. So our opponent can't get back the salvage. And then we're going to take the salvage with the Inquisition here. And then pass. So obviously we're not presenting the fastest clock here. Fortunately, our opponent doesn't draw into a land. Cycle Street Wraith, which finds us a fetch land. Going to be able to Abrupt Decay away the Hedron Crab. And also play out a 3/3 Death Shadow here. Opponent finds green mana finally. Find an Overgrown Tomb. We're going to be able to attack for 5 here. We can kill with the Battle Rage. I just want to see what happens, and our opponent plays an Abrupt Decay, so didn't bother to waste it there. Find Spell One, which we're going to use immediately, because you don't really get an opportunity to respond to Delve, they just do it, and then it's too late to empty their graveyard, so that works out really nicely for us in terms of emptying their graveyard, so even if our opponent does happen to draw into Soulflayer, it won't be much good now. And fortunately it also draws into a Tarmogoyf, which is pretty perfect. So we've got a 5/6 Tarmogoyf here, which will be lethal next turn in combination with this Battle Rage. So attack for 5, opponent doesn't have a response, so we're just going to Battle Rage, and that wraps up game 2. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. We were able to disrupt our opponent's hand, and they got stuck on land as well, which certainly helped out. So wow, we managed to pull through and win game 2. So on to game 3. So this is game 3. Our opening hand is certainly threat heavy, but it doesn't have anything to back that up. So and no way to draw into a second land, so I think we need to mulligan this, unfortunately. This is a no-lander, so that's no good. So I guess we're running with this hand. Certainly could be worse. Definitely going to bottom that land because we've got more lands than we need, quite honestly. We draw into Death Shadow, so we've got another threat here, which is nice, and plenty of fetch lands to drop our life total with. Just going to crack end of turn to reduce our life total and make sure we don't draw into another land. Opponent has Grisly Salvage. So the Grisly Salvage, they find a Soulflayer but end up not taking it, obviously to avoid us hitting it with Thoughtseize, end up taking a Polluted Delta instead. But obviously they've got quite a powerful graveyard now. On the upside, that does grow our Goyf quite considerably. Opponent's hand is double Abrupt Decay, Crab, Samet. Oh, okay. Samet's a creature. I was thinking Samet was the Planeswalker, not the creature. So this is where the double strike came from. My bad. Okay, I see it now. Of course, right. So that's where the double strike came from. That's fine. Anyway, onto this hand. It's a double Abrupt Decay, Hedron Crab, Samet. I guess we just want to take one of the Abrupt Decays. We could take the Crab, but I'm just not that concerned about it. I think our opponent's graveyard's pretty stacked now. That if they do land a Soulflayer, it's going to be pretty crippling. So we're just kind of hoping that doesn't happen, or that we find some answer to it, like Liliana. Yeah, I think we're going to take one of the Abrupt Decays and try and protect one of our threats here. Crack a fetch, going into 12, and can run out a 1/1 Death Shadow here. Cracks Polluted Delta, cast Traverse, which now can find Soulflayer, and yeah, things are not looking good for us. So this is a double strike flying Indestructible, Trample, Vigilance, Soulflayer. Get to Inquisition, taking out the second Abrupt Decay, and we can play a Tarmogoyf, but we can't attack. Opponent plays Crab, attacks us down to 1, and yeah, basically our only chance there was maybe we could have drawn into Temur Battle Rage. If we'd drawn a Temur Battle Rage, which is kind of what we were going for, when we cracked the fetch there, knowing we go down to 9, and that our opponent could hit us down to 1. Our opponent, we could have got the Temur Battle Rage potentially, which would have been a good draw, and then we might have been able to win through here, but unfortunately that's not enough. Let me just double check if that would have been enough, because our opponent would have, so it would have been double strike, so our opponent would have actually gained 8 life. Well, actually no, double strike. Okay, our creature would have double strike as well, so he'd have gained 4 life to 18, and then taken 8 plus 12, yeah, I guess he'd taken 20 damage, so yeah, that would have been enough. So yeah, we were kind of playing to that out, the Temur Battle Rage play, but unfortunately we didn't draw it, and that didn't work out for us. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting matchup. This was, yeah, I guess it's kind of a tough one. Liliana the Veil would have been really nice, but we never actually drew it, unfortunately. But otherwise, yeah, this matchup seems kind of tricky. We don't have a lot of ways to deal with the Soul Flare other than Liliana. And it can hit us pretty hard when we're already a suicide deck, and it hits pretty hard with haste quite often. So yeah, I think this matchup's kind of rough. It's kind of niche though, you don't see it a lot, but it's kind of entertaining, and I probably would like to give it a try sometime. But yeah, it seems like a rough one for our particular deck.